What is up guys, Arolf here back again with another video, and today we'll be taking a look at the Hot Toys Spider-Man Homecoming Iron Man Mark 47. This is Moving Masterpiece 427, so let's get into it. Now taking a look around the packaging, on the top you get Spider-Man Homecoming right there, which is very nice. Kind of got this matte textured finish on the sides and on the reds, which is pretty cool. On the side you get the description of the figure and the MMS number, 1/6 scale collectible figure, Moving Masterpiece Series diecast. On the back you get people responsible for the figure with the barcode at the bottom right there. And also on the other side is just the opening to where you slide out the figure, and you get a little nice arc reactor of the Mark 47/46 on the side. And on the bottom you get more descriptions of the figure. And without further ado, let's get into it. Doing some size comparisons, here's Iron Man Mark 47 next to a couple of Infinity War figures like Doctor Strange, Iron Man Mark 50, Infinity War Cap, and Iron Spider. Also a couple of Homecoming figures like the Homemade suit and the Stark suit, which is the first release version of these suits. So taking a look at Iron Man's accessories here, starting off with the Tony Stark head sculpt. Now we've seen this head sculpt before, originally with the Mark 46 in Civil War with the black eye. They just reused it twice for Homecoming and Infinity War. Now comparing it to the Infinity War, the only main differences that I see are the eyes, the skin tone, and the hair. So the eyes are obviously looking to the left on the Homecoming one. Infinity War one has a warmer tone to the skin and has some brown highlights as opposed to no highlights in the Homecoming one. So this is what it looks like on the figure, and if you want you can attach the Infinity War one because they're essentially the same head sculpt. Now looking even closer at the head sculpt here, really nice sculpting details in the hair. You can see some nice washing, just very light wash. It's not as saturated in brown as the Infinity War one, but you can see the skin texturing is top notch. When you look at it up close and personal, it's just amazing, and they got the beard on point. Now it also comes with some glasses here, which we saw in that India scene where he's controlling the suit via these glasses, which look very cool. These are very fragile, made out of kind of, feels like a thin plastic, but the details and the sculpt is on point, and this is what it looks like on the figure as well. And just showing you the articulation for the head here, you can see it's on a ball peg right there. There's no hinge in the neck or inside the armor itself, but you can see it had 360-degree rotation. It can look to the right there, that far. It's kind of hindered by that neck collar piece thing where the helmet folds back. Same thing to the left, that's how far. And you can see he can move his head down that much and back or up not that far because of that little piece where the helmet folds up. Be careful because it could scuff up. He also has an additional helmet, which is empty from that one scene when he was talking to Spider-Man, which I think is really cool. We haven't seen a lot of empty helmets for Iron Man in a while now, so this is a nice inclusion. You can see some nice intricate details on the inside. Also on the outside, you got some nice black panel lining. Details are clean. You can see there's some gaps in the helmet right there, which is okay. I'm fine with that. And looking at the faceplate itself, it's magnetized with some nice intricate details, kind of that very gunmetal silver on the inside as well. And you can see it looks very, very cool. And looking at it on the figure, even better. Next up for Iron Man, he comes with one pair of articulated hands. Now these hands are basically, we've seen these before with every Iron Man figure and release. You get the usual 3 points of articulation on each finger, so you get all of them right there, and the usual ball joint at the thumb. Really like the silver painted on the hand here. It's very clean, nothing much to say other than you get some nice scuffing details, and that's pretty much it. And looking at it on the figure, looks nice. In addition to the articulated hands, you get the repulsor blasting hands with the same nice details and scuffings. Now these hands are different because they are slightly angled up, so you can get that repulsor blasting look. You also get a pair of those same repulsor blasting hands, but this time they added effects, which I think look very cool, and they are very sharp, so be careful with that. And you can see you can get some flying poses out of it, or some just regular repulsor blasting poses with the effects, which I think look really cool. Along with those effects, you get some thrusters for the boots, which peg onto the bottom of the feet, and these are pretty sharp as well, so be careful with that. You also get the same amount of detailing and paint as you get with your repulsor blasting hands with the effects. And looking at it on this Spider-Man stand, looks very nice for some flying poses. Unfortunately, the one with the figure cannot do flying poses with the effects. Now you also get some armor accessories like these shoulder missiles right there that we've seen in Civil War. They are magnetized right there, so all you gotta do is just remove the previous ones and attach them like so, and it's easy as 1, 2, 3. He also has the forearm rockets right there for both arms. Now we've seen this in Civil War but not Homecoming, but that's okay. That's nice that they included it. You can see they are magnetized, and just attaching it onto the figure, all you gotta do is find this little ridge right here, click it open, and it should snap off. It's not as easy as the shoulder rockets, but once you snap it off, just snap it on and you are good to go for both. You also get a regular base here with the Iron Man nameplate right there, which is metal, and you get Spider-Man Homecoming. I wish he came with the bendable arm for flight poses, but that's disappointing and surprising of Hot Toys of not including it. But with the other Spider-Man Homecoming figures next to it, it looks pretty nice. And lastly, for Iron Man's accessories, you get his mini repulsors and his little pod right here with the effects pieces. Now, this does actually attach to the base itself, which is very cool. But looking at the pod deployment itself, in the movie, it does look a little bit bigger. I don't know if this is accurate to size here, but just taking a closer look, you can see those little mini repulsor pods. I think this is smaller than usual, so it's not to scale, but looking at it, it looks very nice. You get some nice scuffing details here and there, kind of light brushings of silver here and there. It's made out of a hard rubbery plastic, which is nice. It also comes with this attachment right there, so I'm showing you how to assemble this piece. So you would attach that down there, and we'll get that ready to attach to the other piece in a bit. But moving over to the mini repulsors here, this is to scale to what we see in the movie. So this is the actual size if we were to compare it to a 1/6 scale figure, and the pods itself is just supposed to be in effect. So it looks like it's coming from afar, so that's why it's smaller than usual. But you get to see some nice details here. These are very fragile, so if you do drop it on the mini repulsors, the arms or the little claws here do snap off, but they do attach pretty easily, but it kind of warps the plastic, which is quite unfortunate. But you can see the effect pieces, they just attach to the back of the mini repulsors, and the little white part right there attaches to the pod itself. And assembling the whole thing right here, just a quick montage. And there we have it. It looks very nice, looks badass next to Iron Man, just showing you the articulation here. If they would have went for a bigger pod, I think the base wouldn't support it, so I understand why. I think that's why they went with the smaller pod, but yeah. Now taking a look at Iron Man's armor and light up features, starting off with the removable chest plate, which tabs in like so. You get some nice intricate detailings, which are painted silver. You get a clear bluish arc reactor right there. We have seen the details carried over from the Hot Toys Mark IV, but that is okay, they just reuse it there. You get deployable air flaps with some grooves where you could place your plastic screwdriver or your thumbnail in. You get some nice intricate dark metal gray details as well, which looks very nice. And showcasing the light up features, just removed all the armor plates right there and turning on all the on buttons. And there you have it. It looks very nice in this overhead lighting shot. It is bright on most of the body, but on the back of the hand and the forearms and kind of the bicep, it kind of fades out. It's not as bright, but that is okay. So taking a closer look at Iron Man here, starting off with the head sculpt or the helmet, it just looks amazing, very iconic. I really like the Mark 46 armor. I'm pretty bummed out that I missed out on that one. Missed out on the Mark 47, and once Hot Toys has reissued it, I had to get one myself. I'm not paying those ridiculous eBay prices. I can see why, supply and demand obviously, but having this guy in hand, it looks amazing. I don't have the original version of the Mark 47, the first release, but this one I could say looks very nice and could live up to the original one as well. And just looking at the details there, since this is my first Iron Man Mark 46, you get some nice details there. You get some parts carried over from other Iron Man figures, like the inside of the little armpit area where the mechanical pistons are. We've seen that carried over from different Iron Man. But just looking at the suit itself, it looks iconic. You get some nice intricate details there, how the armor bends right there in the elbow and how it folds up like so, creating a seamless look to the armor. I think that's a nice touch by Hot Toys. There are some more movable parts when you're articulating the figure right here. You can see you could also pull up the torso here and the abdomen area to get more articulation. But when doing that, they don't skimp out on the details. You get a lot of details there, kind of a pattern going on right there. So it does create a seamless look. So it doesn't look like it's just a gray piece of plastic or a silver piece of plastic. All the details are carried over. Same thing on the back here with the reds and the gold. Now moving down and looking at the silvers right there in the hips area, you get movable flaps right there, which allow for some leg articulation, which is typical for every Hot Toy Iron Man figure. You can see the different shades of silver. You got dark silvers, light silvers, all that stuff with that nice intricate detail going on as per usual. You get some nice fine details right there, which is nicely painted in red and silver as well. Now bending the knee right here reveals more panel lining details in the armor. Also has double jointed knees right there, as you can see, but I'll get into the articulation portion in a bit. And you can see that little loose piece right there, which I don't know why they made that loose, but I guess for flexibility. And you can see how the armor folds onto itself, which looks very nice. And looking at the back of the calves here, you get that same silver going on with the different shades. And looking at the feet here, you get some nice springy movable parts right there on the foot area. And looking at the back heel, this little piece moves out of the way, which is made out of a kind of that Hot Toys thin plastic, which could snap off at any moment, so be careful with that. The also foot extends down for some ankle rotation. So looking at it, you can see the range that you can get, which I'll get into more in depth in the articulation part. And just popping that back up and folding it and collapsing it all together, it just works very well. And you can see more of the details there. Really like the shiny silver that they used. And at the bottom, you get some more treads for the boots and peg holes at the bottom of his feet. For Iron Man's articulation, the head is on a ball hinge and the neck is on a ball peg. So the head does rotate all the way around and the neck does move side to side at that ball peg. His head can also look up as well, with the neck as well moved up. He can look up that far for some flying poses, which is great. And the neck and the head can look down that far, which is surprising for an Iron Man figure, which is also great. He also has some tilty shifty head movement at the neck and the head, so a little head wobble right there for Iron Man. And he also shifts up and down like so at the hinge at the head, so you can get different looks if you want to. Now the arms here, they do pop out, so you can rotate it all the way around without scuffing up the armor, and also has a ball joint at the shoulder here and inside the shoulder as well. They bend outward that far at 90 degrees. Any further than that, you could damage and scuff up the paint on the armor, and they could push back in like so as well. And with the arms pushed in, they can move a little out that far, a little less than 90 degrees. He also has a bicep swivel, which does rotate all the way around. The shoulder pads move out of the way, so he could do that. He has a double jointed elbow right there, which bends nicely as well. Now the wrists here are on ball joints, so they move up and down, side to side, 360, no hinges whatsoever. Moving over to the chest here, this little piece of armor, which is covering a hole, moves out of the way, so you can move it forward and back, side to side, and 360 degrees. And you could also rotate it as well, because it's on a ball joint and it's also on a double hinge. When you pop it up at the first level right here, you can get a little more range right there, so he bends forward that far. And the double hinge comes into play right here, so it kind of hinges back quite stiff, which is very nice. And he can bend back like so, which is a decent range. But if you want even more range, you can pop off the lower torso right here, or the lower abdomen, so you can get a deeper bend at the torso right there, which looks very nice. And you can see moving back the hinge, that's how far he bends it back as well, which is slightly better in my opinion. It's slightly better. Now moving down to the legs here, I like moving these little armor pieces along the way so they don't hit, break, or scuff up the little plastic pieces right there of the armor. So just move those out of the way when articulating the legs. Now the legs here do extend down like any other Iron Man figure, any modern Iron Man figure. So extending that down, his legs can kick forward about that far. A little less than 90 degrees, or almost at 90 degrees, and back that much, which is good, which is some decent range. So when extended up, it doesn't really move back that much, but when you extend it down, you get a little more range. And he can move outward that far, so you could almost do the splits, but it's kind of hindered by the armor pieces. He also has an upper thigh swivel right there, double jointed knees right there, which click very stiffly, which is very nice. So these won't wear out in the future when you're articulating it right there. Now looking at the feet here, this little back heel piece cover pops out of the way, so you can get more range out of the feet. So you can pop that down, point that foot down, so you can get more range, and you can move up like so. And he also has an ankle pivot. Now just popping that back up, his legs move outward about that far, and doing the ankle pivot test, he is good to go. So yeah, that is it guys, hope you guys like it. If you did, drop a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and hit the bell to be notified when I upload a new video. Now that Hot Toys has finally reissued and re-released this Mark 47 and finally having it in hand, I would say go pick it up right now. As an Iron Man fan, I gotta have mostly all the armors of Iron Man, or the things that I think are very iconic. Since I couldn't pick up the Mark 46, since I didn't have money at that time and missed out on the Mark 47, and finally having money for the Mark 47 reissued, I picked it up. Oh man, he's just so great to have in hand. But if you're having trouble deciding which armor to get, I would say pick the one that's most iconic to you, and if you want them all, go buy them all. Sideshow has payment plans, so you're set on that, so you don't have to worry if you're running low on cash. But the Mark 47 is pretty much iconic armor for me. The armor itself, based on the Mark 46, is iconic. This is just a slightly different color scheme, kind of relating to the Ultimate Comics Iron Man armor. So yeah, I would see how they got their influence from that. But other than that, the reissue, it's pretty much the exact same. There's no visual differences or sculpting differences. I saw in some video reviews it is the paint, so the paint is slightly different, but other than that, pretty much the exact same figure. Awesome sculpt, great lighting. It's just very iconic for me. So if you can, pick him up right now or pre-order him on Sideshow. # not sponsored, but this is the only place that you can get him right now. But other than that, that is it guys. Hope you guys like it. Arolf Morris. This is signing out. Peace.